Hey guys, welcome back to another POV. Today I am with the Canon EOS R and I've got the 24-70 f2.8 from Canon. I'm using the setup. I borrowed it from Will. He kindly let me borrow it. This is, I would say, comparable to the Sony a7 III and the 24-70 from Sony. And I wanted just to go out and see what it's like to shoot with Canon for a start, walk around this area and kind of, you know, have a little play around with a Canon body and give my opinion on it. I have heard good things about it, so I'm excited to kind of see what we can get. It's a really nice kind of workshop on the other side of the road. So we'll see if we can maybe look back towards that and get a bit of a nice frame, which is kind of cool. Just change all the settings, get used to the setup. The ISO needs to change to 100. Okay. So I've said many times before that the 24-70 is actually one of the best lenses for street photography, especially when you're starting, because it allows you to have obviously nice and wide at 24 and then nice and punched in and compressed at 70. Now 24mm on a full frame is roughly equivalent to, I think, about an 18mm crop on a crop sensor, but this, like, there's a Subaru on the other side. I like the car, it's pretty sick. So the plan is to walk down kind of like this market area and just around the local area, around the hotel that I'm staying at, and just see what we can get. We're walking out with this pretty neat setup. It's not too heavy. I would say the lens isn't as heavy as the 24-70 from Sony, but the whole setup feels a little bit more heavy than the Sony a7 III plus the 24-70 G Master. It's quite a nice shot here. I'm at 70mm. Pretty nice. So for these shots I'm going to do a range of pulling it up to my eye and then also showing you in front of the camera like I normally do. But what I want to do is I want to kind of show you. You can see what I'm shooting without having to do this because I'm using the Osmo Pocket 3. So it's quite a nice setup. Let's change the settings. We'll go... I'm trying to work out how to fast change the ISO. This is a nice frame here. All of the photos in today's video are edited with my presets. There's a link below. You get 125 plus presets for mobile and desktop. Nice and easy to download and install. So highly recommend checking them out. Really good price. £10 for 125 plus presets, and you can't go wrong. So many different angles here. It's okay, it's okay. Thank you. Just gonna use this as kind of like a frame of this gentleman down here. It's probably quite a nice shot here of this So I'm just looking at this stall here with the taxi. And maybe if I move a little bit, just get that taxi poking through there. It's a nice frame. Maybe I can get one up wide with the kind of the stalls around it. People walking through the frame. Sick. Oh, that's quite a lot. Sorry. It's quite a vibe. Just focusing down here, focusing down the bottom, and then everything else in between me and that is nice and bokeh out. So far, I feel like the only thing I would say that I'm not a massive fan with is kind of the autofocus seems a little bit slower than the Sony's. But I don't know whether that's down to me because I'm not used to using the camera, or if it's down to the system. So I'll ask Will after if that's a common thing, but I think it's mostly down to maybe user error because it's not something I'm used to using. I've said this before. I did a video in Australia last year where I said that the 24-70 was actually one of the best street photography lenses. And the reason I said that was purely because it gives you the range of super wide at 24 on full frame, but then equally it gives you that nice compression at 70mm. So I think for a beginner lens, a 24-70 or an 18-105 is probably a good starting point to look at because you get the width of nice wide angle, and then you also get a nice compression. I guess the point of this video as well is to showcase that you don't always have to go super far, you don't have to go to specific spots, you don't have to go anywhere special, but when you're going to a new city or or you're going to somewhere different, and let's say you're staying in a hotel or an Airbnb or apartment or whatever, you can simply just go for an hour's walk in the vicinity of your hotel or your accommodation, and you end up getting some really good photos. You don't always have to go to the most touristic or to the to specific spots. So try to remove that kind of stigma of going to these like crazy places, because a lot of the time whenever you want to get like photos, or if you want to document the city that you're visiting, you don't have to go all that far. So there's a nice shot just here of two gentlemen playing chess, well, checkers it looks like actually. So we'll see if we can get a nice cheeky shot of that. This is so nice, this is such a nice shot. So I'm just going to get a shot of this taxi here. We're at 200th of a second, f2.8. Dude going through the frame at the same time. I'd say the thing I'm struggling with at the moment is purely like ergonomics, and that's down to me. Like obviously I'm borrowing this camera from somebody else, so I wouldn't go ahead and change the settings, but typically on my camera I have this here as the aperture, whereas Will has this as the shutter. So I keep getting confused between the aperture and the shutter, but I mean it's on me, it's nothing about the camera itself. But it's yeah, I mean it's fairly simple to use. The files on the back of the camera look really good. Obviously I'll find out when I get back home, but you guys have seen it already, and well, I have faith that they look good, because like I said, I would compare this to the A7 III, and obviously you know that the A7 III is a good camera, and well, I highly rate that camera. So it'll be good to try this at night maybe if I get a chance. but so far I'm actually really enjoying it. It's actually a really nice shot in here. So I'm going to go 70mm. It was a really nice frame. There was a guy working, he was at his desk with a light on, and it looked really nice. So I think with the edit, so there's a nice frame here which we'll get at 70mm. There's a guy just sleeping outside this shop. I think actually it'll look good in landscape. So I shot that at 250 per second, f2.8, ISO 100. Really nice frame. I was just getting a nice frame of this shop up here, which is really nice, where they sell like bao buns. I was shooting at 320 per second, f2.8, ISO 100. This is actually a really cool street. I think if I go down the street and face back towards, might look a bit better. See how we go. Oh, that's nice. So same settings as I was just at. See if you guys, make sure you guys can see. And I'm just using this as a frame, shooting towards the street out there, and then waiting for a subject in the middle, just here. So I'm shooting this at about 50mm, just because it gives me that nice depth, and it brings that background closer to the front of the image. So it's creating that compression. Nice. So I'm just walking up into this like market area. It's pretty cool. Quite a lot going on really. Quite a cool shot. Oh, that's nice. So looking down like this avenue. It's okay. It's okay, it's okay. Thank you. Might be a nice shot here at 70mm, going through this little like tunnel way. Okay, so that shot was at 250 per second, f2.8, ISO ISO 800, got there in the end. Now I had a look online to see how much this setup would cost me, and if I was to go and buy it, this whole setup would cost just under £2,000. So the lens is the most expensive out of that. The body itself you can probably pick up for about £600–700 in the UK, and the lens, if you went second hand, you could probably pick it up a little bit cheaper, but I would probably recommend looking at a cheaper option in terms of the lens. Now, when it comes to the lens, you don't have to go and get the R mount lens. You can still use the older mount lenses, which would work out cheaper. So if I could do this, if I was going to go and buy this setup and I was starting out, I'd probably go for the body and then the cheaper option for the lens. Okay, it's a nice shot here. If I kind of zoom in and get a bit of depth behind this dude. Just a nice little simple shot. And I'm thinking, to be honest, I'm actually very happy with the shots that I've got so far. And if you are looking for an alternative to the Sony, then I would recommend the Canon R. I think it's a great camera, and I'm hoping I can use it a little bit more while I'm on this trip in Hong Kong. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM over on Instagram. I'll be happy to answer them. And if I can't answer them, I'll be sure to ask Will. Also, I will link Will below. He has YouTube and Instagram. Head over and say hello if you've come over from this video. I do appreciate him lending me this camera and the lens, because I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I definitely think it's a rivalry for the Sony a7 III. I don't know if it's as good as the Sony a7 IV, but I think it's definitely worth it. If you're looking to work with Canon, or if you already have Canon lenses, I definitely recommend going to get the Canon R if it's within your budget.